All right, welcome everyone. My name is Emmanuelle Morgan. I'm a resident of Jersey City and a co-founder of Hudson County Complete Streets. We're a group of ordinary people who just want clean air, safe streets, and sane transportation policies.
Sounds reasonable.
Just like you, we just want healthy, peaceful lives. I want to call out the words of Councilwoman Ridley, whose statement for tonight speaks volumes. The voices of the residents most impacted by the Turnpike expansion aren't being taken into consideration. Well, tonight we will hear from some of those people directly impacted by the extension. You will also hear from some of your and our elected representatives who have been staunch, excellent, and unwavering supporters of the cause to oppose the Newark Bay Bridge and New Jersey Turnpike expansion project. And make no mistake, it is an expansion. The New Jersey Turnpike wants you to believe the bridge is unsafe, yet their own study states it can be repaired for a mere $260 million. The New Jersey Turnpike wants you to believe that they somehow have to replace one bridge with two, doubling 4 lanes to 8, even though traffic is down on the extension due to congestion pricing. The smartest transportation policy we've seen in the region in decades. Some people, like Assemblyman Sampson in Greenville and Bayonne, would have you believe that union jobs are more important than clean air and public health, and that only the New Jersey Turnpike can somehow deliver union jobs, unlike, say, New Jersey Transit. We all know we can't build roadways indefinitely. We can't add lanes indefinitely. So, what is the NJ Turnpike's long-term plan? They want you to believe that EVs will save us, but EVs still emit particulate matter via tire and brake dust, even more so than regular combustion engine vehicles. All over the country, state and federal agencies have paved through marginalized neighborhoods. You see it everywhere. You see it in Providence, in Shreveport, in Baltimore, and here in Jersey City. Once thriving neighborhoods decimated, where a highway was constructed without community consideration, bringing traffic, asthma, noise, and blight. In Jersey City, this highway divided Greenville from our most precious natural resource, the Hudson River. Anyone who has tried to walk over the Bayview Avenue Bridge, part of the Turnpike extension, to get to Liberty State Park without even a sidewalk to connect there knows what I'm talking about. Thank you. The NJ Turnpike didn't care about how local residents would access the park, just like they didn't care when they built the Jersey Avenue Bridge with the minimum width sidewalk and unprotected bike lanes no parent in their right mind would let their kid bike on. Kids raised near highways have higher rates of cognitive problems. The elderly who live near freeways have higher rates of dementia, Alzheimer's, heart disease, and early death. We need 2 bridges like we need a hole in the head. Now they want to spend $12 billion on this project and $6 billion to replace that one bridge with 2. We say no. No. And with that, I will introduce Mayor Fulop.
Thank you. I know there's a lot of really important speakers other than me. I just want to say thank you to all the advocates for pushing this. You have a partner in the Jersey City Department of Infrastructure and our administration, and I know most of the council agree. Our intention is to pursue litigation to see if we can delay this process as long as possible. And I think what was said earlier was spot on. If you care about health, if you care about the environment, if you care about mass transit, it would lead you to the conclusion that this project is wrong for New Jersey. So thank you again for coming out today. Thank you for standing strong, and you have a partner here in Jersey City. Thank you.
All right, and now we'll have Mayor Ravi Bala from Hoboken.
Thank you. You know, we all know how it goes, right? So you have, it's equalized math. More lanes equals more traffic equals more congestion equals more pollution equals more negative impacts on Black and brown communities. Period, full stop. That's how this progresses. We were saying the same thing one year ago. But you know what's changed? Do you know what's changed in 1 year? It's that the U.S. Coast Guard just issued a Phase 1 environmental assessment, and that's a part of the process. Flawed. It should be an environmental impact statement, but an environmental assessment. And they relied on the Trump administration's statement that we cannot take into effect, or we cannot consider environmental justice in determining whether or not this passes through the environmental assessment process. So we know the impact this has on Black and brown communities. We know that this is, when we talk about environmental justice, a form of racism, but we actually now have this concept of racism into the legal process, into this legal process. They have considered this process in a way that disproportionately impacts minorities. That is a racist policy the Trump administration is propagating, and that is actually what was applied when this assessment was approved. That, I submit, is a complete outrage. The only other thing that's come up since then is congestion pricing, right? We've all heard of that. Initial data has already showed that if you go from, by car, exit 14 to 14A, the amount of congestion has already been reduced by 8.5% through since congestion pricing got implemented. If you go to 14B to 14C, it's 12.5%. And you know it's increased? The amount of bus traffic into the Holland Tunnel. So, you know, we're just trying to follow the data, which is very clear. But you know, as the Turnpike Trap, and I'm so happy to see such a broad coalition of folks here and electeds and kids and everyone in between. This is community. This is what advocacy and democracy looks like. But the data and science are clear. This is just bad policy. I'm happy there's a will amongst people to fight it. And as Hoboken's mayor, you can count on me every step of the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Next up, we'll have Deborah Italiano. Are you here from Sustainable JC? Deborah, did you make it on time? Is she running late? All right, we're going to move on to State Senator Raj Mukherjee.
Thank you, and thank you to all of the advocates for being here. You know, the Coast Guard's decision to rubber stamp this ill-advised project and issue a finding of no significant impact, it's actually a declaration of stunning indifference to our community. It's a betrayal of the communities that the project is going to harm the most. And it's actually, in my view, illegal, because as much as the president would like to disregard the rule of law, the separation of powers, the idea that laws can only be changed by Congress, an executive order that purports to disregard environmental justice cannot just overturn federal statutes that are in place, that have to be abided, and that the Coast Guard must have considered in its environmental impact study. So, and we're not just talking about asphalt and emissions with this expansion. We're talking about the displacement of our neighbors, the harm to air quality, and the theft of opportunity from working class families and New Jerseyans who deserve clean air, but also deserve better choices and mass transit that actually works for them. So I would just say that the National Environmental Policy Act, other federal laws still apply. Environmental justice still matters. And instead of doubling down on car culture and carbon, we should be reinvesting these billions, as many up here have said, into the future rather than looking backward into the past, into clean mass transit, into resilient infrastructure, and walkable, breathable communities. I call for the cancellation of this reckless project and that we abide science and equity and the law and reinvest those billions into mass transit. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator. Next, we'll have Mariel Didado from the office of Assemblywoman Jessica Ramirez.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mariel Didado, and I am here to represent Assemblywoman Jessica Ramirez as we stand with you, rain or shine, to oppose the Turnpike expansion project. Jersey City is already overburdened by air pollution. The American Lung Association gave Hudson County a rating of D for air quality. And with more cars on the road leading to the bottleneck of the Holland Tunnel, which is not expanding, this leads to more smog, more congestion, and more public health consequences for the residents who live here. And that includes children, seniors, and overwhelmingly the working class. We know that we have work to do in New Jersey, but the money that's being spent on the Turnpike project should be redirected to improving public transit. Frequent and reliable trains means more cars are off the road. And Assemblywoman Jessica Ramirez is vocal on this issue and will continue to be fighting alongside you in this advocacy project. So on behalf of the Assemblywoman, thank you to Hudson County Complete Streets for the tireless work that you do to advocate for better transit, and thank you all for being here today.
Thank you, Emmanuel. To echo what the prior speakers have said, from day one, my position has been just cancel this project. Reinvest the money into mass transit. We put plenty of union workers expanding the light rail to Bergen County, to Bayfront, and many other areas. We have to stand strong on this. I want to give an additional shout out to prior speaker, Mayor Fulop. I remember when I first met Doug, and he said he needed to have a meeting with the mayor. He said, do you think the mayor will stand with us on this? Well, I remember when that meeting was put together, and Mayor Fulop has stood strong, 100% from day one, even if to some points in some areas that he may speak, it may be to his detriment, because when he stands with you, he stands strongly with you. So the decision by the Coast Guard, in my opinion, was a joke. It was a fait accompli, and we have to do whatever we have to. And if we've got to go to court, then we got to go to court. But let's hold this up and make sure we hold it up to there's a new administration, because hopefully when there's a new administration in Trenton, that administration will stand with us and make sure that the project gets canceled. Thank you.
Good evening, y'all. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you kindly. My name's Chloe, and I have been doing environmental justice organizing for over 4 years now, getting to 4 years, which feels so crazy. But to be honest with you, in the times like these, it's just frustrating to say the least, to see how time and time again our bureaucracies have chosen profit over people. A time where innovative advancement in clean technology and infrastructure is overshadowed by profit and greed. The clear lack of intentional and active community engagement for this plan to alleviate the deterioration of the bridge shows a deficiency in the Turnpike Authority's strategy for this project, which is why it simply should not be built. The impacts that we continue to witness from climate change show that it is so crucial to invest in innovative community-based solutions for improving public infrastructure, which includes better and more accessible public transportation, not expansive turnpikes. This project, thank you. This project has moved forward and it hinders the quality of life, especially for Black and brown communities, under the guise of better infrastructure and progress. Newark and Jersey City have already had to bear the weight of disinvestment in their air quality and health through further entrenchment of emissions from diesel trucks and power plants. Once again, the voices of those most impacted are ignored, and the cost of convenience is paid by the communities that have sacrificed the most. The city of Newark, especially the Ironbound, can speak to the environmental racism that's been dealt with. We're already dealing with the ramifications of having the state's largest garbage incinerator and multiple power plants in one 4-square-mile community, with the proposal of a 4th one. To say the least, we do not need any more emissions from anywhere else. We need to be investing in cleaner electrified trucks. We need to be investing in public cities, in public transportation in ways that can help communities get more accessible ways to get around into the area. We need greener spaces, and that's an expansion to a turnpike is definitely not the answer to that. So one way that we can do that is speaking against like we are here today, and also trying to make sure that we don't bring in more facilities like this, like the power plants, like the incinerators. So I'm glad that we're sitting here today and talking about how much of a trap it actually is, this turnpike. So thank y'all. And I'd also like to say, because I'm plugging right now, like I mentioned, they're proposing a 4th power plant in the Ironbound, and they're voting on this tomorrow. Yes. We already have multiple power plants in this area, and we don't want another one. So if you guys can come to bit.ly/PBSC board to come to the public meeting that's virtual at 12 p.m., you will be able to make a public comment and speak against this. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you guys for continuously advocating for the dismantlement of this ridiculous turnpike extension. I try to be reasonable and try to look at it from the other side's point of view. And I'm sorry, I just can't find a reasonable explanation why you think extending a turnpike to go into the same 2 tunnels that it's going to go through is going to help the flow of traffic. I heard every argument and it just doesn't make sense. So at this point, we really want to, urge the governor and challenge the governor to please reconsider this plan. Please reconsider this plan. We understand that we need upgrades, infrastructure. We're not dismissive of that, but this is a horrible way to spend this amount of money that taxpayers fund on this project. It just doesn't make sense on any level. So we have to keep fighting. We're not going to be bullied. We're not going to be muffled or anything. We're going to continue to make sure we're standing in solidarity, fighting for what is right. That's environmental justice for our communities. Thank you.
Peace, my name is Steph, and I am from Newark. I'm a Newark resident. I was born in Jersey City, and I have Hudson County roots. I first want to thank the people who gave us this space to be inside because of the rain. And I also want y'all to make noise if you're from Jersey City. Make some noise. And y'all come from Hudson County, and of course Newark. The energy here is powerful. And I'm here today to say no more, not another lane, and not another highway heist. No more lanes, no more lanes, no more lanes, no more lanes, no more lanes. So since the start of this project, we've been hearing our Jersey City folks, we've been hearing Hudson County, we've been hearing the elected officials saying we don't want this. We've been hearing doctors and communities' loved ones saying our children's lungs don't want this. And yet this $12 billion project is not, the expansion is not just a project. The real cost of this expansion is increased asthma, it's increasing our air pollution, it's expanding injustice, and it's expanding traffic. And the one that really infuriates me is expanding displacement of our people. Communities like mine, black and brown, working class families, we are not dumping grounds, and we are not sacrifice zones. We are people, damn it. We have families, we have dreams, and we come here with hope to find better. And we do deserve it. We deserve better. The people who are pushing this disastrous project, they're the ones who are saying that there is no significant impact. But are they the ones living here? Are they the ones that are going to be impacted? Are their children going to be breathing this toxic air? And widening highways have cut through historically marginalized neighborhoods by redlining and displacing our communities of color. Since its initial construction, which was back in 1949, it has been displacing historically more than 450 homes in Elizabeth, rather than rerouting the project around predominantly Black neighborhoods. And fast forward 2025, we see the same agenda happening. We are here to say no more. No more. And I'm here because as a young person in my 20s, I'm starting my PhD program this fall. And it's crazy how I'm reading these chapters in my courses and seeing the air quality chapters and seeing how vehicle exhausts are rising the asthma rates, are increasing these adverse health effects. And we do not need wider turnpikes. We do not need to widen our highways. We need stronger public transportation that uplift and connect, protect our communities while advancing and prioritizing our climate goals so that my family, my nieces, our younger generations can have a livable planet to live on. And just to end this finally, showing up is the first step. I brought out my brother and his wife out here, my sister-in-law. That is the first step, showing up. Bring your friends, bring your families. Tell everybody what's going on because we don't want this. And submit your public comment in person or dial in at 9 a.m. to the New Jersey Turnpike Authority's meeting on May 20th at 9 a.m. unfortunately, but we gotta do what we gotta do. Show up. Thank you.
We have an extraordinary set of folks here tonight. Particularly, we have elected officials from all across the political spectrum. We have elected officials who, frankly, sometimes don't like each other. And we are all unified in opposition because this is such a bad idea, we will all stand together to oppose it. Now, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Across the world, we've expanded highways. And what has the result been? You don't improve congestion, don't improve travel times. The results are traffic and pollution. But what if I told you you could get more traffic and more pollution for the low, low cost of $12 billion? Wouldn't you say yes? Correct. This is the most absurd idea I've ever heard, right? We know what highway expansions do. They harm communities. They increase rates of asthma. They increase the number of people hurt or killed in crashes on our roads, right? And they do not solve the problem they purport to solve. This is an idea driven by money and power and greed, and they are attempting to bulldoze it into our community. And that is why we are all unified in opposing it. Now, I was heartened when Mayor Fulop stood up here today and he said Jersey City is going to sue, because that is the next step. We need to use every tool in our book to stop this disastrous expansion. So I will be proud on the council if they bring a contract before us. We will vote in favor of it. We will sue the Coast Guard with their ridiculous study, and we will stop the Turnpike expansion from happening and from harming the communities of Jersey City and Hudson County. Thank you to the advocates who organized this, and we will be with you every step of the way. Thank you, guys.
Good evening, everyone. All right, thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you, Doug. Thank you to everyone on this coalition and the elected officials who are joined here today for inviting me. I am one of your neighbors. I live in East Orange, New Jersey. I'm a New Jerseyan for almost 6 years now, actually. And I will say that I firmly oppose what's happening. I'm actually disgusted by the Coast Guard's decision here. As a parent, as a resident of New Jersey, as someone who actually didn't know if I was going to make it here this evening, because for the last 2 nights in a row, I have been kind of like nursing my almost 6-year-old through like some asthmatic trauma pretty much, mainly because he's autistic. And so when he has asthma flare-ups, it's really hard to even get him to sit still for any kind of like nebulizer treatment. And so that is always an ongoing concern, really respiratory issues in our household. And I'm thankful that we're actually in a position of privilege to have health insurance, right? When I have to make those split decisions of, do I take him to the urgent care? Can I go to Walgreens and get albuterol for him in this moment? Because I spent the majority of my adult life with no health insurance, like really my 20s and 30s with no stable like medical care, really kind of abusing emergency room services when I absolutely had to have it. You know, when you have like that really bad like toothache or you're like, what is going on? Those were the times. And this is really the story of many folks who are low income, who are Black and brown, who are immigrant, who are like hourly workers, folks who are struggling right now to pay rent and put food on the table, right? And those are the stories that the Coast Guard like officials are not taking into consideration when they talk about this expansion. They're not viewing all the hardships that folks have to like face. And this is something that I always want to encourage our policymakers and decision makers to think about. We have to consider who are the people on the other end of this policy. How does this policy impact this community? Have we spoken to enough people in this community? Is this actually going to be the solution? Did we come up with what we thought was the problem, or do we actually go into the neighborhoods and hear and make sure that this is being informed by lived experiences? And so it's just really dangerous when we get to these points. And as much as, like Stephanie said, we can continue to tell our neighbors, tell our friends, bring a family member out to these actions, connect with a community organizer like myself and others, not just on transit, on anything, on housing, immigration, whatever your issues are, continue to connect, because really we're in a dangerous position. We have a lot of folks who are deciding right around this time, major budgets on behalf of our households, major bills that are going to impact our lives, and they have not heard from us. So call them up, let them know that you oppose this. Thank you.
Jersey City, how are we doing today? I can't hear you. How are we? When they try and build a turnpike, what are we going to do? Fight back. Stand up and fight back. When they keep trying to shove this down our throat, what are we going to do? Stand up, fight back. Jersey City, I can't hear you. What are we going to do? Stand up, fight back. No more lanes. Come on. No more lanes. No more lanes. No more lanes. No more lanes. Stand up, fight back. Let's do it. Let's switch it up. Let's switch it up. Listen, it was on the flyer. It was like Rage Against the Turnpike, right? Like, we have to rage against this turnpike because listen, I want to thank everyone here, the advocates, because it's been a long road and it's still just beginning. There's a hard, long slog ahead of us. I opposed this when it was only $10 billion. Okay, now we're at $12 billion, and the asks and the requests just keep getting crazier and crazier. Now the Coast Guard came out with a study that said no significant impact. Now, it depends on which community are you talking about, all right? In the urban centers, in the Black and brown neighborhoods, there will be a significant impact. Okay, we have the highest asthma rates in the country. We're one of the most densely populated counties in the entire country, okay? And they keep pumping more and more of these emissions into our communities. They keep pushing us out on the fringes. They want us to live under the bridges, under the turnpike. And it has to stop because it doesn't make sense. Make it make sense. You're building more lanes to get into a bottleneck? Okay, yeah. Unbelievable. Like, everyone hates traffic. What's the solution? It's not more lanes. You need to build reliable infrastructure and mass transit. You need to have more bike lanes. You need to have light rails connecting the whole county, connected to Bergen County. We're sick and tired of this. This is a slush fund for contractors and government people that are like on the in. That's what it is. Let's be real. And we have to stand up and say it with our chest, and we got to fight back. Next rally, bring someone else, okay? Because this is real. This is happening. They're trying to make it happen, but we have to use everything at our disposal. So I will proudly vote for any contract that will allow the city of Jersey City to sue. We should sue. We're going to sue, and we're going to win. All right? Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. I still see all of you sitting. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Love you all. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Enver and I live on Crescent Ave in Bergen Hill, Jersey City, Ward F. It's unfortunate that we have to be here and talk about why the Turnpike extension is going to be a failure. The Turnpike extension is going to be a failure because it's just going to add more cars to the highway, creating more traffic and more air pollution. We already have a poor air quality, and why we don't care about that, I really don't know. It's going to create even more health problems than we have now. Why would we want to encourage more cars to the highway when we could encourage for those who can take the bus, train, or walk? I've lived in Jersey City. I've lived in Jersey City all my life, and I want to continue living here in a peaceful environment, an environment that is safe, decent, and friendly. I mean, the new road isn't really for us, it's for people just passing through, and we're the ones who will have to breathe the air and deal with the traffic every single day. Public transportation is not that bad. Instead of spending money on making roads bigger, I think we should spend it on making our public transportation better and our neighborhoods safer, like better sidewalks, bike lanes, more trees, and maintaining parks. Clean air should matter more than fast cars. I care about the future. I want to grow up in a place where we can walk, bike, and play without being afraid of getting hit by a car or getting sick from pollution. Please think about kids like me when you make these decisions. Thank you.
Deb Italiano from Sustainable Jersey City, a longtime clean air advocate.
Hi folks, thanks for coming out tonight. I understand I missed the mayor and we have all these other wonderful, city officials who are talking stuff like taking people to court, which seems the only venue these days where people's voices are really ultimately heard, right? But this is important. Tonight people get to be together and get educated a bit. I do want to point to, and I don't have those right up here, but on your way out, we've mapped what looks like what we've now named Asthma Alley in Jersey City. So we have the highest rate of asthma, COPD, heart attacks, and strokes in Hudson County. A lot of this can be, as a good guess, attributed to environmental concerns, particularly air quality. The upshot of that story map that we created a few years back is that we've now been able to work with the health department here to land a $500,000 grant from the EPA to do an air pollution study in Jersey City, which is something that we're halfway through right now. So we're measuring ozone, particulate matter, all those things that are going to be of concern should we have more traffic coming through the city, right? So we have a sick population, we have these environmental health issues already. The city's enveloped with transportation corridors, and now this step, which is really very, I'm very perplexed by this because you have all these state mandates, these master plans, the climate action plan, you have the environmental justice, most progressive legislation in the country. The dots aren't being connected, so there's something else going on here. And it's the weirdest thing that the Coast Guard was the agency to do this study that are making declarations. They're not even qualified to do this, right? This is not an environmental impact study or environmental impact assessment, EIA, as we all know it, which is something that would be much more multidimensional and take into account, you know, some comparatives like, what about the opportunity of more transit? What if that, you know, first it was 7, then it was 10, now it's 11, maybe it's $12 billion reconduited to transit opportunities. You know, SJC is supporting the Transportation Division for the City of Jersey City, who's just going after it like banshees. And here it just seems that we're being pushed back and worked against by the state. You have people who are running for state government here, thankfully, two terrific individuals. And what we want to do is create some alignment. Why Murphy is still out of step with all of this is ridiculous. So take you know, there are a couple of QR codes on your way out, the poster boards are there. Sign up for something called the Daily Breather, which is a new tool that we launched in Jersey City. You have hyper-local data. We have monitoring devices in 3 parts of town that will give you air quality readings. So we've triangulated the city, right? It's never been done before here. So it's not regional air quality data. It's Jersey City specific data, right? It'll show up in your inbox every morning. It's called the Daily Breather. Go for it. We're trying to get it published on the city's website so you don't have to congest your mailbox, right? But this is something that maybe you should be a little bit more aware of before you go out every day, right? It's not so unusual that an urban center like ours has bad air quality, but we all know it's really bad, and we're not interested in making it worse, right? Thank you so much.
Hi, I'll keep it brief because I told my story at one of the first rallies. I live more or less under the Turnpike extension. I really don't want more of it over my head. You know, I accepted when I moved into the neighborhood in Northwest Hamilton Park that it was there. You're gonna build a bigger one through the entire city and more cars and traffic that wrap right around my literal sub-neighborhood. No, thank you. I'd really rather not. Thanks.
Good evening. Thank you, everyone, for being out here today. I come here today both as a Jersey City resident and as a parent, as a father of a daughter who goes to school in the shadow of the Turnpike and who would breathe the air of the additional car traffic coming through Jersey City if this project goes through. You've heard tonight about a lot of bad reasons, a lot of the negative effects of this project. I won't repeat those. Turns out these reasons are true. This is a very bad project. It's astronomically expensive, it's ineffective, it will be a historic generational mistake if we continue down this path. There is not room on our local streets for more cut-through traffic. There is not room in the lungs of our children for more particulate pollution. Meanwhile, New Jersey Transit falls apart. The PATH train was recently on fire twice, months apart. There is no shortage of mass transit projects that we should be investing in. I also want to talk on this rainy night about some of the darkness of this project. This project had its beginnings first as a $4 billion project, then a $4.7 billion project, now a $10.7 billion project. It just keeps going up and up and up. And throughout it all, it's not the Turnpike announcing, oh, we made a mistake. Oh, we have some big news for you. It's the news media, it's advocates opering for documents, asking for the engineering report and revealing that they themselves saw an option for repairing the bridge for just $260 million. This project also begins in the middle of the pandemic. Not a lot of people know this, but Where did they find all this money for this project? Where did this come from? It came from in March of 2020 and April of 2020. They decided to put forward a plan to raise our tolls on the turnpike by over a third, over 37%, and to fund a $24 billion capital plan that was completely unprecedented. If you watch those videos of the so-called public comment, it is a row of 20 paid lobbyists in a row, set up in the middle of the pandemic, right, when no one wants to go outside, saying that they support this capital plan. Throughout it all, they do not release the data. The increases in the price, even the traffic data, the traffic in the last 15 years on the turnpike on the turnpike extension has not increased. At the same time, Jersey City's population has grown by over 20%. And then in their model, in this environmental assessment, they say the population is going to go up, and that's why we need to expand this bridge and expand this turnpike. It's not true. It's pseudoscience. I also want to just talk about, there is an election coming up. I hear it's, June 10th? I think the antidote to this darkness that we are in on this project, all these twists and turns that are unexpected, and these increases in costs and the lack of thoroughness in their assessments, is voting. And so I encourage everyone to just go and vote, read about the candidates, read about who is benefiting, read about where their support is coming from, and go vote. And the second little off-topic ask I'll say is support the media. The media is who brings transparency to these really big statewide projects. And I think let's support them. And I'm really thankful for all the elected officials here tonight. I'm really glad that there is this big debate going on in New Jersey today of how would you spend $12 billion that fell into your lap? Would you say, let's widen highways and pollute our air, or what are the other needs all around New Jersey? Thank you.
Okay, so let's start. I got it. Okay. Identify yourself.
I'm Tony Borelli.
Please talk to me.
I'm Tony Borelli. I am a resident of Hamilton Park here in Jersey City for the last 28 years. I'm also the vice president of Bike JC, a local bike advocacy group for Jersey City, and a trustee of Hudson County Complete Streets, a county umbrella group for us. I used to be a newspaper reporter. I saw a lot of car crashes and sort of got involved in safe streets advocacy in general back then, but my living here in Jersey City kind of immediately set me up to oppose this project even back then. When my first summer in Hamilton Park, I live literally in the shadow of the Turnpike extension. I remember in my kitchen one sunset, I saw these weird, it looked like there were cars in my kitchen, and I realized just exactly how much traffic there was on that thing I moved in next to, because it was the shadows of the cars literally moving across my interior kitchen wall. So, I accept, I always did, that thing is there. Probably the only thing I don't like about my neighborhood, but the whole time it's been there, it's been the same. And now, they just want to make it double in size and capacity. That's obviously something that affects me. But since I've been here, the neighborhood has boomed. The whole downtown has boomed. There's a lot more people living here. There's buildings, bigger buildings, apartments and condos in that area. And now they want to make that thing even bigger. That's just a terrible idea, and not just for me. I think it probably goes without saying that bringing more cars into Jersey City is terrible, also for biking safely and conveniently, which is the main thing that we Bike JC stand for. So that's kind of a no-brainer for us. But, we also just live here and deal with that thing, the extension, and don't want it to be any bigger and busier than it is, and it shouldn't be. How's that?
All right.
Good.
Good.
What else? Questions?
Let me stop the camera for a second. Still rolling the sound. What's one of the effects that all the traffic that the Turnpike brings to Jersey City have on the city?
Well, one of the worst things is that it is a largely commuter traffic, it seems. It's people from somewhere else going to somewhere else, sometimes going to work, but a lot of it, there's a lot of rush hour traffic, and rush hour traffic is happening when school traffic of any kind is happening. The people driving their kids to school, but also kids trying to bike to school and walk to school and just get to school. So those mix really terribly already. The extension goes more or less over an elementary school right near me. PS5 goes over parks, goes over playgrounds, goes over all kinds of things. And the traffic, the car and truck traffic that's in a big hurry, at 8:30 in the morning to get where they're going is conflicting with, kids trying to get safely to school and their parents trying to get them to school. And it's a madhouse in the mornings, and it's probably nearly as bad in our extended rush hour in the afternoon. So here again, the last thing we need is more of that.
Good.